All right, we're going to continue this morning's media availabilities. We welcome Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 21 Motorcraft Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center Ford with the Wood Brothers Racing. Ryan, you've had an impressive start to your sophomore year, currently sitting 6th in the point standings. Talk to us about how you plan to continue this momentum into your team's home state.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the year so far. I feel like we've had really fast cars, and I feel like all the bad finishes we've had really fast cars, and things just have gone wrong, whether it's our doing or out of our control. We have to clean that up a little bit the best we can, but I feel like the biggest thing is we've had super fast cars, and last week actually we had a really fast race car, and we had our own troubles there with the power steering issue. But this racetrack, honestly, I think was our worst last year out of all of them, and so it'll be a big test to see how we are this weekend. We obviously want to run well for the Wood Brothers, being in their home state of Virginia. Even though it's a good ways away from where they're from, but it's still a home state race for them, and we want to do well here. And I feel like, it's going to be a big test, like I said, being kind of far off in this race last year. If we can come out and be competitive, it'll definitely say a lot about our team, about sitting back in the offseason and improving on races that we didn't feel like we were very strong at. So I'm excited to get this weekend started with that car and see what we can do.
Great. All right, we'll start with Claire.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I'm sure, Ryan, you've known, even if you haven't had time to really listen in or read all of the stories, that there's been a lot of talk about young guns like you this week. And I wonder what's important to you for people to understand about what it's like to be a driver with a personality kind of coming into the sport right now. What would be important for you to communicate, do you think?
I think it's just kind of neat to be part of that group, honestly. Fortunate to be in positions to be with good teams and be part of that young gun group that people call it, with Chase and Larson and, Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez. I feel like we're really lucky to be in that category with a great race team, and NASCAR's definitely done a great job of kind of building up the younger race car drivers in this sport. It's been fun to do a lot of that stuff for NASCAR and be a part of all that with those guys. And I know we're doing something next week before Talladega, so that'll be a lot of fun. But like I said, just cool to be part of that group. Nice to be in the same category as those race car drivers. They're great people, and not only great drivers, but off the racetrack, they're great personalities as well. So it's just nice to be mentioned in that little group.
Hey Ryan, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. You're buddies with Junior. What did you think when you heard the announcement? Were you surprised? Reaction?
I wasn't really surprised. I just, you're kind of just going along with what he says. It's it's a personal choice of his, and he's done so much in his career. He definitely deserves the chance to choose of what he wants to do, if he wants to keep driving or not, and he's been able to make that choice. And I think there's things he wants to do outside of racing, him and Amy, that I know they're excited for, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. I've been fortunate enough over the past couple of years to call him a good friend of mine and be neighbors with him, and be able to hang out with him a good bit and just talk not only racing but things outside of it as well. And that part is, to me, has been really special. Growing up watching him racing and growing up in the garage like I did, and seeing him, whatever car he was in, whether it was the 8 car or the 88 car, and he's been one of the biggest names in our sport. And I definitely hate to see him go and leave the driving side of it, but I hope he sticks around, whether it's at the broadcast booth or things like that. I think he will. You saw Jeff do it, and he's just a great person for this sport. Not only, like I said, in the car, but outside the car, he does a lot of great things that have propelled this sport to where it is today. And it's definitely sad to see him go, but I'm excited to finish out this year with him. That'll be really special.
Great. We'll go to Nate and then Chris.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Ryan, they used to treat Richmond International Raceway with like a sealer until about 2002, and then after repaving, they haven't treated it with anything since then. With the success of the VHT at Bristol, Do you think they should consider doing something like that here? And where do you fall on that debate? Because obviously Kyle Larson and some drivers had opinions that low and high is good at Bristol. Some think low only is good.
Yeah, well, answering the Bristol question first, I feel like this year was a really good race. I don't know what other people think. I know I kind of saw mixed things from the fans. Most of it was positive, some negative things, but I personally thought we were just going to be on the bottom the whole race throughout practice because the stuff they put down was so wide, a lot wider than the fall race last year, and I'm kind of happy we were able to move around. You could pass on the bottom or top and even shoot the middle sometimes, and I thought that was great. It gave you 3 options pretty much to get through lap traffic or past cars, and I thought that was some great racing. It was better than just being married to the top or married to the bottom. I feel like if you have 2 lanes that are equal, that shows great side-by-side racing. At the end of that Bristol race was awesome to watch. I rewatched it after the weekend, but this place, I don't know. I don't think it needs anything like that. This race last year we were all the way up to the wall and at the bottom. I feel like we could run around anywhere here. Maybe they can consider doing something like that at newly repaved tracks. I don't know if they go to Texas and try to help out that upper lane a little bit. That might help it out, but I don't think this place needs any of that. I feel like it's a great racetrack and it's worn in, and you're always searching around for grip. I feel like that makes for really good racing already. So.
Perfect. We'll go to Chris and then Brant up here in the front.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Ryan, Wood Brothers Racing made the move from Virginia to Mooresville, North Carolina, and I was just wondering how you feel like that had an impact on the team and you being able to be closer to the shop as well.
Yeah, I think they moved down to the North Carolina area in general, 7 or 8 years ago, and they were in Harrisburg, and now in the off season we just moved to Mooresville by the drag strip. But it's been, honestly, the move from Harrisburg to Mooresville has been super beneficial. It's made the most sense, really, logistic-wise, from getting cars back and forth to the Penske shop. I'm 10 minutes down the road from the Wood Brothers shop, and it's just closer for everybody. But I think it's been great to have it closer to the Penske group. We get a lot of resources off of them and a lot of information, which has been really beneficial to our team this year. So logistic-wise, it was a smart move by the Wood Brothers group.
Great. All right, we'll go to Brant.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Junior has gone out of his way at times to compliment you on what you do, in the car, out of the car, social media, promoting the sponsors, and what you could mean to the sport in the future. What's the power of a junior endorsement? Not only, I suppose, making you feel really good, but how much of a validating effort does that have, as within the sport for you?
It can be positive and negative, and I've seen both sides of that this year, to be honest with you. From the Phoenix and Martinsville deal to, him saying that stuff, he has a very big impact of what people think, whether it's fans or in the garage area, and him talking up, younger drivers or the sport in general is going to get, his fans excited about the future of going forward, even though he's not going to be driving anymore next year. What he says is going to be very important, and I know he's always said great things about the sport and drivers in it, and he's always been very positive, which makes him, that alone makes him a great person and a great ambassador for the sport. But it definitely, means a lot to hear him say those things. And like I said, I know he says that about, a lot of young drivers and trying to set everything up for the future. But it's just nice to be part of that conversation when he speaks. It's pretty nice.
Great. All right, we'll go right here to the front.
Ryan, one of the things that has been talked about is your social media prowess. Tell us a little bit about that. What you like most, and where most of your followers are.
Yeah, I used to not like social media at all a handful of years ago. I thought it wasn't really my thing, and then you kind of get more into the sport and realize how big of a deal it is and how much fans like that side of it, and how much information it gives them throughout the weekend or even throughout the week or year. You realize you have to do it more, and I think as you grow, you kind of figure out what exactly to put out there and which is beneficial to the fans, to yourself, to your sponsors or NASCAR or your team. That's been a lot of fun personally for me throughout the recent couple years, putting some fun stuff out there, whether it's just myself or doing things with the fans or your friends. I believe fans like to see that, especially when you're kind of away from the racetrack. They like to see what kind of a person you are, and I feel like we've been trying to pump that out. So I like it. Like I say, it can be your best friend or worst enemy, and I've been on both sides of that this year. But I think it's a great tool for the fans to use to get information about us or NASCAR. And like I said, I think we, and by we I mean the team and myself and NASCAR, they do a great job of putting things out there that the fans like, whether it's podcasts or videos or things like that. I think it's pretty good. So that's always going to keep growing. It's not going to go away, and it's something you have to be fairly decent at, I feel like.
All right. Any more questions for Ryan? Okay. Thanks for joining us today,
Thank you.
Ryan.